God is moving in ways you may not see, and He is preparing financial blessings that have been hidden, guarded, and preserved specifically for you. Many times we look at our circumstances and assume that nothing is changing, but in the realm of the Spirit, God is orchestrating divine connections, opening invisible doors, and aligning resources in your favor. What you call delay, heaven calls preparation. God never withholds to punish. He withholds to position you for a blessing so great that if it had come earlier, it would not have been fully received or understood. There are treasures God has placed in hidden places, ideas you have not yet discovered, opportunities you have not yet recognized, and people you have not yet met. These treasures are already marked with your name. In Scripture, we learn that God delights in concealing things, and it is our honor to seek and uncover them. When you pray, when you envision, when you speak His promises with faith, you are not begging God for something new, you are unlocking what He has already prepared. Heaven is not scrambling to respond. Heaven is waiting for you to align your heart with divine expectation. Financial increase does not begin in your hand. It begins in your mind and spirit. When you believe that God is releasing hidden blessings your way, something shifts inside of you. You stop living from survival and start living from purpose. You stop expecting scarcity and start anticipating abundance. The Spirit of God moves powerfully through expectation because expectation is the womb of manifestation. When you expect God to move, heaven responds. Your faith becomes the spiritual magnet that pulls the unseen into the seen. Do not underestimate the power of a God-given idea. Sometimes your greatest blessing is not money, but the seed that will create money. One God-inspired idea can lift your family, multiply your resources, and open doors no man can shut. God does not simply give you financial blessings. He gives you the capacity to create them. Every seed He places in your spirit carries the potential for supernatural increase. Your responsibility is to nurture it, believe in it, and act upon it. When you move in obedience, God moves in provision. There are moments in life when it feels as though everything is tightening, everything is shrinking, and nothing is moving. But often this is the moment right before divine release. A bow must be pulled back before the arrow flies forward. Pressure is not the sign that God has forgotten you. Pressure is the sign that God is preparing to launch you. Hidden blessings often appear after seasons of frustration because frustration softens your heart and realigns your vision. What was once concealed suddenly becomes clear, and what was once locked suddenly becomes accessible. Even now, God is releasing financial favor in places you least expect. He is sending opportunities that will find you without your striving. He is stirring hearts to recommend you, support you, invest in you, and open doors for you. He is awakening creativity within you, expanding your capacity, and increasing your influence. Heaven is not short of resources. Heaven is abundant. And when your life aligns with God's purpose, that abundance begins to flow toward you like a mighty river. Do not fear lack. Do not fear the future. The God who multiplies the little is the same God who reveals the hidden. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are positioned for a supernatural unveiling. Lift your faith, lift your expectation, lift your eyes, because the financial blessings that have been hidden are now being released. Walk in gratitude, walk in obedience, and walk in bold trust, for your season of divine provision has begun. God has already prepared unseen financial breakthroughs for you, long before you ever knew you needed them. In the realm of the Spirit, nothing catches heaven by surprise. Before the challenge appeared, the provision was established. Before the needs surfaced, the supply was already set aside. You may be walking through a season where your physical eyes see limitation, uncertainty, or even lack. But in God's unseen dimension, there are blessings stored, reserved, and protected with your name written on them. These are not ordinary blessings. They are breakthroughs that have been divinely timed, divinely structured, and divinely designed to appear at the exact moment when they will have the greatest impact in your life. Many people spend their lives believing that blessings are random or dependent on chance, But in spiritual truth, nothing concerning God's provision is accidental. God moves with purpose, precision, and timing. He is not the God of last-minute rescue. He is the God of eternal preparation. Long before you prayed your first prayer, long before you faced your first financial hardship, long before you discovered your calling or your gifts, God had already prepared the increase that would match your destiny. Your breakthrough is not something God needs to create. It is something He will reveal when your heart, mindset, and obedience align with His divine schedule. Often it feels as if nothing is happening, and this is where many become discouraged. But the truth is that God often works in silence before He works in visibility. Just as a seed grows underground before it ever touches the sunlight, your financial blessings are developing behind the scenes. God is preparing relationships, opportunities, open doors, and resources that must mature before they reach you. If they came before the appointed time, you might mishandle them, undervalue them, or fail to sustain them. God's timing is not designed to frustrate you, but to prepare you to carry the weight of the blessing that is coming. The reason the breakthrough is unseen is not because it doesn't exist. It is unseen because God hides blessings to protect them. What heaven preserves, no enemy can steal. What God ordains, no circumstance can block. What God stores, no force of darkness can access. There are divine deposits waiting in places you haven't stepped into yet. There are financial provisions hidden in assignments you haven't accepted yet. There are increases waiting in connections you haven't met yet. Nothing is missing. It is simply waiting for manifestation. In God's wisdom, hidden blessings serve another purpose. They pull you closer to Him. When you do not see the blessing immediately, your dependence deepens. Your prayer life stretches. Your trust expands. Your spiritual sensitivity sharpens. You begin to recognize that the blessing is not the source. God is. The blessing becomes a byproduct of relationship, not the reason for it. In that posture of surrender and expectation, your spirit becomes aligned with the rhythm of God's timing. Every challenge you face is simply positioning you for the unveiling. Every closed door is directing you toward the open one God has prepared. Every delay is removing what doesn't belong, so that what does belong can flow without hindrance. You are not waiting for God to decide your breakthrough. The breakthrough is waiting for you to arrive at the place where God's preparation meets your readiness. Even now, the unseen is moving. The blessings that were hidden are being shifted into visibility. God is not preparing to bless you. He has already prepared it. You are moving toward a moment where what was invisible becomes undeniable. Your breakthrough exists, your provision exists, and your abundance exists, waiting only for the divine moment when God says, now. Your mindset, faith, and expectation form the spiritual environment where hidden financial blessings manifest. Nothing in the kingdom of God is accidental. Every blessing is attracted, nurtured, and released through the condition of the heart and the posture of the spirit. When your inner world aligns with God's promises, your outer world begins to reflect divine order. Many people pray for increase while carrying a mindset of limitation, doubt, or fear, and then wonder why breakthrough feels delayed. But in God's system, belief is the gateway through which provision flows. Faith is not just a feeling, it is a spiritual frequency that pulls the unseen into visibility. Your mind is the first battleground of financial transformation. Before your life increases, your thinking must increase. Before your resources multiply, your belief must multiply. If a person expects little, they receive little. Not because God is limited, but because expectation sets the measure. Expectation is the spiritual cup you hand to God. He fills the size you bring. A small mindset cannot carry a large blessing. God will not pour an ocean of abundance into a heart that is only prepared for a cup of survival. That is why Scripture repeatedly emphasizes renewing the mind. Because what you think determines what you attract, what you pursue, and what you believe is possible. Faith is more than positive thinking. It is spiritual sight. It sees abundance even when the bank account reflects lack. It sees opportunity even when the world presents obstacles. It sees God's hand even in seasons of pressure. When faith rises within you, you begin to recognize that financial blessings are not random miracles. They are responses to alignment. Faith reaches into God's prepared blessings and pulls them into your reality. It transforms waiting seasons into preparation seasons and transforms challenges into catalysts for growth. Expectation is the companion of faith. It is the inner conviction that God will do what He has promised. Expectation keeps your spirit awake, your perception sharp, and your decisions bold. Without expectation, blessings can pass by unnoticed. Many people miss God's financial breakthroughs not because the blessing wasn't sent, but because expectation wasn't present to recognize it. God often sends provision disguised as an idea, a connection, a small opportunity, or a simple instruction. Only those who expect God to move can discern His movement. A person who lives with expectation walks differently. They speak differently. They think differently. They plan differently. They make decisions not based on fear of what could go wrong, but based on confidence in what God is already releasing. Expectation gives courage to step into unfamiliar territory. It gives boldness to take risks led by the Spirit. It opens the heart to possibilities beyond human logic. When your expectation rises, you stop limiting God to what you have seen before. You begin to welcome the unexpected, the unusual, and the supernatural ways God can release financial favor. Your spiritual atmosphere matters. A heart filled with bitterness, fear, or unbelief creates resistance to God's blessings. But a heart filled with gratitude, trust, and expectation becomes fertile soil for increase. Gratitude shifts you from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance. Trust dissolves anxiety and positions you to move in obedience. Expectation fills your spirit with anticipation, drawing divine opportunities toward you with magnetic force. God does not release blessings into environments that contradict His principles. That is why He works on your mindset before He works on your money. He enlarges your capacity before He enlarges your resources. He elevates your faith before He elevates your finances. When your thinking, belief, and expectation harmonize with His truth, the blessings that were hidden begin to reveal themselves because your spirit is finally prepared to receive what heaven has been holding for you. Obedience to divine instruction is the key that unlocks supernatural provision, and this is a principle woven throughout the entire journey of faith. God never releases blessings without purpose, and He never provides increase without alignment. When God speaks, whether through His word, through His Spirit, or through a quiet impression in your heart, His instruction is not merely a suggestion, it is a pathway. Every divine instruction carries within it the seed of breakthrough, but only obedience can activate its harvest. Hidden financial blessings are not accessed by human strategy alone. They are accessed by following the specific direction of God, even when it does not make sense to the natural mind. Many people pray for financial elevation, yet ignore the steps God places before them. They want the blessing, but hesitate when the instruction stretches their comfort. They desire miracles, but resist movement. But in the spiritual dimension, obedience is currency. It carries weight, it carries authority, it carries the power to shift what is locked into what is released. When God asks you to take a step, whether it is to give, change your environment, pursue a God-inspired idea, mend a relationship, or let go of something limiting, He is not trying to test you. He's trying to position you. He sees what you cannot. He knows what is ahead. He understands which actions will unlock your next season. Divine instruction often appears small, but its results are enormous. God rarely starts with something dramatic. He begins with simple obedience, a slight shift in attitude, a small act of generosity, a moment of forgiveness, a tiny step toward a dream you have been ignoring. These small obediences open portals of blessing because they align your life with God's flow. When you obey, you declare to heaven, I trust your wisdom more than my fear. That declaration alone creates movement in the spiritual realm. It tears down barriers of doubt and ushers you into divine favor. Some blessings are hidden behind unfamiliar instructions. God may lead you into environments that feel uncomfortable, partnerships that stretch you, or opportunities you didn't initially recognize as divine. Obedience may require humility, courage, or sacrifice, but every step of obedience is a seed, and God always multiplies what is placed in His hands. When He tells you to move, it is because He has already prepared something on the other side. When He tells you to stay, it is because He is strengthening what lies beneath the surface. When He tells you to give, it is because He is releasing something greater back into your life. God's instructions are never random. They are strategic. Obedience sharpens your spiritual hearing. Each time you respond to God's voice, your sensitivity increases. You begin to recognize His leading more clearly, discern opportunities more accurately, and perceive blessings more quickly. This sensitivity becomes a divine advantage, especially in the area of finances. God may give you a creative idea that seems insignificant. He may nudge you toward a person who holds the key to your next level. He may open a door that looks ordinary, but behind it is extraordinary provision. Without obedience, these pathways remain unseen. With obedience, they become stepping stones into abundance. There is also a protective dimension to obedience. Sometimes God instructs you to wait when everyone else is rushing. Sometimes He leads you to release something that appears valuable, not realizing He is protecting you from future loss. Sometimes He tells you to pursue a direction others doubt, not knowing He has hidden blessings in that very place. When you obey, you walk under divine covering, avoiding traps, delays, and detours that would have drained your resources and harmed your destiny. In every season of your life, God is speaking. He is guiding. He is directing you toward increase. The question is not whether God is releasing financial blessings. He is. The question is whether your obedience is making room for them. Divine instruction is never about restriction. It is about positioning. It is God's way of lifting you into the flow of blessings that have been waiting for your yes. And when your heart responds, heaven responds. The hidden becomes visible. The delayed becomes released. The impossible becomes achievable. Through obedience, the pathways to supernatural provision open wide, and the blessings assigned to your life step out of hiding and into your reality. God often hides blessings in unexpected places, within relationships, ideas, opportunities, and moments that look ordinary on the surface but carry extraordinary potential. This is one of the mysteries of the way God works. He conceals treasure inside things that require spiritual perception, humility, and sensitivity to uncover. Many people pray for financial breakthrough while overlooking the very doors God has already placed around them, because divine blessings rarely appear in the form we expect. They come disguised, wrapped in simplicity, or hidden within the flow of everyday life. And unless your spirit is awake, you may walk past the very provision you've been asking God to release. God hides blessings because hidden things require seeking, and seeking deepens your spiritual maturity. If every blessing came easily, instantly, and visibly, you would never grow in discernment, never sharpen your faith, and never develop the spiritual eyes needed to steward abundance. Hidden blessings train your perception. They force you to listen closely, look deeper, and depend more fully on God's guidance. Some opportunities don't announce themselves, they whisper. Some divine connections do not come packaged as powerful people. They appear as ordinary individuals with extraordinary purpose attached to your destiny. Some ideas don't arrive with fanfare. They nudge your spirit quietly until you pay attention. The hidden nature of blessings is also a form of protection. What God conceals, He safeguards. He hides financial opportunities from premature exposure, from people who might sabotage them, and from environments that are not yet conducive for their growth. Just as precious jewels are buried deep in the earth, requiring effort and excavation to uncover, God buries your financial blessings in places where only the committed, the faithful, and the spiritually perceptive can reach them. His desire is not to keep them from you, but to keep them for you. Blessings can be hidden in relationships, people you haven't valued yet, mentors you haven't approached, or partnerships you haven't explored. One conversation can unlock doors you've been trying to open for years. One connection can lead you into rooms you could not enter in your own strength. One relationship can spark ideas, collaborations, or opportunities that shift your entire financial situation. But if you only look at people through the lens of familiarity or assumptions, you will miss the divine purpose God has placed within them. Blessings can also be hidden in ideas, simple concepts that seem too small to matter. A business thought you keep ignoring. A creative spark you haven't pursued. An invention, a project, or a service that keeps resurfacing in your mind. These ideas may feel insignificant, but they may be the seed of abundance God is trying to plant in your life. Often, the greatest financial breakthroughs begin with the smallest impressions. Subtle, quiet, almost fragile thoughts that require faith to act upon. Opportunities are another hiding place for blessings. They may not look glamorous. They may not appear guaranteed. They may require humility, responsibility, or risk. Sometimes God opens a door that looks too small for your calling, simply to test whether you trust His leading. When you step through the small door, He expands the room on the other side. And sometimes the opportunity that looks insignificant is actually the bridge to the breakthrough you've been praying for. Even challenges can hide blessings. What looks like a setback may be God redirecting you towards something greater. What feels like loss may be making room for divine supply. A closed door may be preventing a disaster you cannot yet see. A delay may be positioning you for a better opportunity that would not have been available if things had happened earlier. God's hidden blessings are not always wrapped in positivity. Sometimes they are disguised in processes that stretch you, refine you, and prepare you for greater responsibility. To access hidden blessings, you must cultivate spiritual awareness. You must learn to see beyond what is visible, to sense God's leading in subtle ways, and to follow the quiet tug of the Holy Spirit. When your heart is attentive, you begin to recognize divine fingerprints on ordinary moments. You begin to see God's provision in places others overlook. And as your perception sharpens, the hidden becomes visible. Blessings that once seemed out of reach begin to emerge. Doors you didn't know existed begin to open. Opportunities you never imagined begin to appear. God has placed blessings around you, but it is your spiritual sensitivity that brings them into the light. When you align your vision with God's purpose, He releases abundance that flows far beyond your personal needs. God never intended for your life to be driven by survival, fear, or lack. His desire has always been for you to live in a state of divine overflow, where blessings do not simply arrive to meet your needs, but to empower you to impact others, uplift the kingdom, and fulfill your destiny. Financial increase in God's system is not random, it is purposeful. It is connected to assignment, stewardship, and spiritual maturity. When your vision is aligned with God's heart, you step into a flow of provision that is not limited to your efforts, your background, or your resources. You step into supernatural supply. Alignment begins with clarity. When you understand why you are here, what God has called you to do, and what purpose your life carries, your prayers shift, your decisions shift, and your direction shifts. You stop chasing things that drain your strength, and you start pursuing what multiplies it. God is deeply committed to financing His plans in the earth. When your vision embraces His purpose, whether that purpose is to build, to serve, to create, to lead, or to transform, He releases resources to sustain it. Provision always follows purpose. When your purpose is strong, your supply becomes unstoppable. Many people desire abundance without understanding its assignment. God's financial blessings are not sent merely to elevate comfort, but to elevate calling. He releases more to those who will use more for His glory. When your heart says, God, if you bless me, I will bless others, heaven takes notice. When your spirit says, if you increase me, I will multiply impact, the gates of provision begin to open. God entrusts wealth to those whose hearts are aligned with His eternal agenda. When you demonstrate that you can be trusted, He releases more, not for selfish gain, but for kingdom advancement. Alignment also requires surrender. You surrender your own limited plans and embrace the plans of God, knowing that His vision is far greater than anything you could design on your own. When you release your grip on your own understanding, God releases the grip that circumstances have on your opportunities. Surrender creates space for divine flow. It shifts you from human striving to spiritual receiving. In that place, doors open without force. Ideas come without struggle, and resources emerge without anxiety. Your vision becomes powerful when it becomes purified, stripped of fear, cleaned from greed, and aligned with faith. When you see your life the way God sees it, you no longer think in terms of barely getting by. You begin to think in terms of impact, generosity, and legacy. In that mindset, abundance is not something you chase, it is something you attract. Your spirit becomes a vessel God can trust because your desires reflect His heart. As you align with God's purpose, He begins to expand your capacity. He stretches your imagination, enlarges your influence, and increases your territory. Opportunities begin to align themselves with your vision. People who carry pieces of your assignment begin to appear in your life. Ideas that were dormant begin to awaken. God multiplies your abilities, sharpens your gifts, and positions you in environments where your potential can flourish. This expansion is a sign that financial blessings are being released in your direction. When your purpose and God's purpose walk in unity, favor becomes your companion. Provision begins to chase you. Blessings begin to locate you. You no longer live from a place of spiritual dryness, but from a place of divine flow. God blesses you so that you may become a blessing. And in becoming a blessing, you create a continuous cycle of supernatural increase. The more you pour out, the more God pours in. The more you align with His vision, the more He aligns resources with your journey. This is why aligning your vision with God's purpose is the most powerful financial decision you can make. It shifts you from limited living into abundant living, from scarcity consciousness into kingdom consciousness. And in that alignment, hidden blessings are released, doors open effortlessly, and financial overflow becomes not just a possibility, but a divine promise unfolding in your life. Thank you for taking the time to listen, reflect, and open your heart to these words. May what you've received today continue to strengthen you, inspire you, and guide you into the next season of your journey. Keep walking in faith, keep believing for more, and keep expecting God's goodness to unfold in your life. Until we meet again, stay blessed, stay focused, and stay confident that greater things are on the way.